Hi there, it's Michelle again. I'm here to update you guys on my surrogacy journey and just talk about what this experience has been like for me and my family. So let's start at the beginning. Right now, I'm in what's called the medical clearance process, which means that I've already matched with a couple. This time I am matched with a single intended mother, and we've already agreed that we would like to work together. So the next step in this journey would be to go out to the fertility clinic of her choice, where she has her embryos, and I would have their OB look over my body, check my medical history, my blood work, all the fun stuff to make sure that I am a healthy, happy candidate that it would make a good fit for a surrogate role. So we did all the blood work from my town this time. In previous journeys, we had done everything at the clinic out in California, and I'm in southern Missouri. So it was quite the flight out, a little bit of a long appointment even, because I had to do blood work, we had to do a pap smear, we do a saline sonogram, a whole slew of things. So it was a very long appointment, and I ended up having to stay over the night in California previously. This time around, this clinic is different. They're still in California, but instead of being out in LA and Pasadena, this time I was in San Francisco. So first time flying out to SFO in San Francisco, first time going to this fertility clinic, first time going to this hotel, first time being in San Ramon. So very new experience. It's still very exciting for me. I've traveled alone enough with my previous surrogacy journeys that I feel comfortable doing so. I feel safe on my Ubers. My case manager reaches out to me to make sure I'm okay, that I land and get places safely. I also share my location with my family, my husband, my mom, my sisters even. So everybody can keep tabs on me and they know that I'm safe and where I'm going next. So this trip, I actually flew out the night, I ended up actually going to stay with my little sister for a little bit. So I live in a southern part of Missouri, not near one of the big airports. We have an airport here, but it's small enough that if I fly to a larger airport, I have to have a layover somewhere. So in the past, I've stayed at Denver. I've had to stop there and have a layover, but I've had previous trips where my flight got delayed and I ended up missing my second flight because of that. And then I've had to stay overnight in Denver, and my trip has been longer than expected. So with childcare, my job and everything, it's safer for me to try to do no stop flights, just nonstop straight there. So what we do is I drive up 3 hours away to Kansas City, and I fly out of Kansas City and I can fly straight to San Francisco, straight to LA, straight to a lot of places from Kansas City. But my flight left at 7 a.m. I like to get there early, so I have 2 hours time to get in through the TSA, find a snack, find my seat, find my gate, so I don't have any sort of stress on me. I stay low stress by planning ahead. I'm a big planner, so I like to get there 2 hours ahead of time. Even if TSA only takes 15 minutes, this gives me time to get a snack, get a drink, go to the bathroom, find my seat, and everything like that. So that's what I wanted to do, and in order to do that for this flight, our boarding time was 6:20. So I wanted to get there around 4 a.m., 4:30. I live 3 hours away, so I would have had to leave my house at 1 a.m. to do so. I'm very lucky. I have a great support system with my surrogacy journeys. My whole family knows about it, my mom, my dad, my multiple siblings, and I have a little sister who lives in Kansas City. So she let me drive up the night before, and I stayed the night at her place. That way I only had to get up at 4 a.m. and drive over to the airport and get through TSA. The Kansas City airport was very busy at 5 a.m. So it was a long process getting through TSA. I was grateful that I got there with plenty of time, and I was still at my gate by 5:15, giving me about an hour and 5 minutes of extra time. So I got my coffee, I got my drink, I got my food, and I sat down, found my gate, and I was able to board comfortably and get on my flight. The first flight this time actually did have a small layover in LA, which I thought was interesting. So I flew from Kansas City to LA, got off, had about an hour and a half between my flights. So I walked over to found my other gate and flew over to San Francisco. By the time I landed, it was about 11:30 a.m. and my appointment wasn't until 2 p.m. My clinic was about an hour away from the airport, so I went ahead and hopped in the Uber. I've had previous times where the Ubers sometimes take 30 to 45 minutes to approve and find me a ride. So I didn't want to risk waiting around or having lunch or doing anything too crazy. I did find lunch. I just got something easy to go, hopped in my Uber and drove out. I ended up getting to the clinic an hour and a half early, which was totally fine. It was in a really beautiful town called San Ramon, and there was horses everywhere. There was a garden across the road, like a playground with a garden adjacent to it, so you could hang out there. The weather was stunning. I'm used to muggy Missouri heat, so the heat in California, dry, it was like 80 degrees. It felt perfect. The clinic this time was a little different than the one in Los Angeles. We actually did all of my blood work, medical records, and even a drug test here in Springfield, where I live. So I was able to knock all of those out, and we even went ahead and did the psych evaluation appointment as well. So I had a whole lot of stuff done before I even got there. And so they had been approving small things along the way. My psych evaluation went great. They said that I'm a perfect fit to be a surrogate. My blood work came back clean. My husband's blood work came back clean. My drug test came back clean. So it was all green flags from there. So by the time I actually got to my appointment in San Ramon, all they really needed to do was take a look at my uterus. So they did a pap smear and a swab to test me for any unnecessary things happening down there, and also did a saline sonogram, which is when they put saline into your uterus to see what a mock embryo transfer would look like. So to get a better understanding of what's happening inside of your uterus. Do you have polyps? Do you have anything like that? Or do you have any scar tissue they need to remove? Stuff of that nature. So they did the saline sonogram, they did a regular ultrasound, and they did pap smear. But all in all, the appointment only took 30 minutes. So I was in and out of there really quick. The whole time the nurse and doctor were going over everything, explaining it as they switched from step 1 to step 2 to step 3 to step 4. And every time they said, this looks good, this looks good, this looks good, this is what we like to see. I was also excited because personally for me, I've had previous journeys where my uterine lining hasn't been as thick as they wanted. My previous clinic liked 8 millimeters thickness, and I had had some around 5.8 millimeters, some around 6. We had tried putting me on estradiol, we had tried natural cycles, and so I was really hopeful that this first ultrasound would look good and yield good results. When they measured my uterine lining, it was 7.24, so under 8, and I mentioned it as they were doing the appointment, and the doctor immediately dismissed it. It was like, we like seeing over 7. You did 7.24 without medications. That is a great number. Do not stress about it. You're doing fantastic. So that really put me at ease with this appointment. Again, I'm out in San Francisco by myself doing a medical clearance appointment to be a surrogate. It can be a little bit of an intimidating experience, but the doctors, the nurses, and my case managers were all there for me every step of the way, made sure that I was comfortable, and kept me up to date with what was happening with my actual appointment itself. Even if it's medical terminology that I'm not familiar with, they were able to kind of dumb it down so that I understood what was happening during this experience. So after we finished all of the 4 steps, they went ahead and they sent me out. My hotel was actually just down the road. It's at a 4-minute drive, but a 20-minute walk, and with the weather being so nice, I went ahead and decided just to walk back to my hotel this time. On previous journeys, I've been able to do that as well in Pasadena, so I was comfortable enough doing that, and the walk was completely safe. I had sidewalks, I had street lights, I had walk signs, so I wasn't doing anything really sketchy, and it saved me having to do an Uber trip. I also found food on the way home from the doctor's appointment. When I got to my hotel, it was super easy to check in. I just provided my driver's license and a debit card in case I broke anything on file. But everything with these trips are covered by the surrogacy agency and the intended parents. So far I've mentioned my flights, I've mentioned my Ubers, I've mentioned my hotel and my food. All of that is covered either previously, like before it happens, like the flights and the hotel, or it's later than reimbursed. So the whole time I knew, because I've done this before, that I would be getting $50 per day of an overnight stay towards my food. So I had kind of kept that in mind, and I was okay spending a little over $50 if I needed to, just to make sure I had something healthy during the trip and that I was well fed. I don't think I ended up spending over $50, so it was perfect. So I got some food on the way back. I put my credit card on file just in case I break anything at the hotel, and I had the rest of the night to myself. I flew back the next day, so I just stayed at the hotel. I watched some TV, got some rest, got to relax after a very busy day of flying multiple times and then going to a doctor's appointment. The hotel was perfect. It was, like I said, in walking distance. I couldn't ask for more. And after that night, I got to get up in the morning. I had plenty of time to get back to my airport. Yes, I had plenty of time to get back to my airport. It was about an hour away, but my flight didn't leave until 10 a.m., so I didn't have to be there until 8, so I didn't have to get up until 7. Technically leave the airport at 7. But the hotel they had picked had free breakfast, so I got to go down, have some scrambled eggs, some Canadian bacon, some apple juice, and then by the time I got to the airport, I was able to find a good coffee station, grab myself a cup of coffee, and grab some snacks for the road. I knew I was going to have about a 4.5-hour flight back to Kansas City and then a 3-hour drive home. So it was another full day of travel. And all of this was planned pretty last minute. I didn't know until the day that I was driving up to Kansas City to fly out the next morning that I was even for sure going on the trip. So it was a little bit of a stressful experience, but with surrogacy, you kind of have to roll with the punches. You can't plan for everything to go as perfectly as you want it to, there's gonna be roadblocks, and you gotta be the type of person that can handle it. You're gonna have last minute plans sometimes. You're gonna have a lot of doctor's appointments. You're gonna have medication that has unfortunate side effects and symptoms. And you have to be able to know, like, mentally be strong enough to withstand this kind of stuff. So for me, I'm able to let things roll off my shoulders. I'm a big planner, so if something happens, I'm able to come up with a new plan pretty quickly. I like planning, so I don't mind having a last minute trip. I've got a sister I can ask to help. I had a mom that was ready to step up and take care of my son. I had a husband who was able to call out of work so he can go get my son afterwards. I have a very flexible job. It's one of the reasons that I knew I could handle being a surrogate. I work from home full time, but I have over 100 hours of ETO saved up specifically for the surrogacy journey. So when I text my boss that day and I was like, hey, I'm flying out to Kansas City tomorrow night, I cannot work Thursday and Friday, he immediately okayed it, approved my time off, and let me go on my way, and then even asked me how it went back when I got back to work on Monday. So every base in my life was covered. I have a very flexible, comfortable life. I don't have a lot of risks. I have a very comfortable life. I own my home. I love my husband. I have my son that I want. I have a very safe, comfortable home and family. So I am kind of perfect for being a surrogate, especially with this job, just working from home. After I got back to the airport that next morning, I boarded my flight. I flew back to Kansas City, and then I drove the 3 hours home, and I was home before my son's bedtime. So all in all, the trip went perfectly. There was one delay, but no issues that caused like a layover issue. My flight home got delayed a little bit, but it was a nonstop flight, so I just left a little bit later, and that was totally fine. The doctor's appointment was very comfortable. There were notes saying that I could take Tylenol if I wanted to after having the pap smear, saline sonogram, and the ultrasound all done, just in case there was like any uncomfortable cramping, but I didn't experience any of that. So all in all, very great trip. I'm super excited to work with my intended mother. Now it's Tuesday after my trip, so I am just kind of patiently waiting to see if they medically clear me. From what I know about my blood work, my medical history, my psych evaluation, and from what I saw at the actual doctor's appointment, I think I'm fit to be medically cleared. I'm just waiting patiently for another doctor to go over all the notes from the appointment and to message my case manager and approve me. Once I'm approved, I'll get that medical clearance bonus through the surrogacy agency, and then we can slide into the legal clearance process. If I had to pick a least favorite part of the surrogacy journey, it would be the legal clearance process because of my lack of control. A lot of the reason that I've had this experience take so long in the legal process is it's just we're waiting for the lawyers. Somebody drafts one of the contracts and then they send it to me. Then I read the contract, my lawyer reads the contract, we discuss what's on it, what should be added, what should be removed. We mark it up and we send it back to their lawyer. They read the contract, the lawyers read the contract, they want to add things, they want to change things, they fix it all up, and they send it back my way. I think in the past we passed it back and forth about 4 or 5 times. I respond as quickly as I can. As soon as I have that contract in my hands and on my phone, I'm sitting down, I'm taking the time, I'm reading every page, every paragraph, every sentence, so that I can figure out what I want to add. And I try to get it back to them as soon as possible. Lawyers have a lot going on, so sometimes it takes days before I've even heard that we've sent the contract back, even though I've already provided my part. So knowing this, I'm excited for medical clearance to happen so that I can plan for at least a month for legal clearance to take. My intended mother is excited about having her daughter, and she would prefer, it's not always possible, we don't have a ton of control with all of this. My intended mother would prefer if I could have the baby before August of next year. So it's currently August this year. So the latest we could do an embryo transfer would be around November, maybe late December. After that, we would not have the baby before her planned time for school. I totally get that though. The reason she wants to have the baby before August is because of the school system where she lives. I completely understand wanting to plan that far in advance. One of the reasons that I planned on becoming a surrogate again was because we wanted to use the money as a down payment for a home. But I don't want to buy a home for another 3 years. So I'm planning a lot in advance to buy my next home. I've even started looking at homes in my area so I know how much of a down payment I need so that we can comfortably afford it. And I really enjoy being pregnant. I've had very healthy pregnancies in the past. I've had very light morning sickness. I have not had any stretch marks or uncomfortable pain during my third trimesters. My ankles swell, but I wear my compression socks, and I have a good understanding of what happens to my body during pregnancy. I'm very fortunate that I have good genetics, thanks to my mother. She had 5 children. Her mom had 5 children. And even my dad's mom had 5 children. So I knew I came from a family of people that provide healthy, strong babies. Nobody in my family has had like mental disorders, physical disabilities. We don't have problems with our hearts. We don't have issues besides cancer that is related to lung cancer from smoking cigarettes. So we don't have any like genetic defects from the pregnancy experience. So I knew that I would be a good fit for having more children because my family is kind of just good at making babies. So I've really enjoyed doing the surrogacy experience. Again, at this point, it's been 2 years since my last journey ended. I had the baby at the end of June 2023, and now we're well into August 2025. It feels like I had that baby a lifetime ago, but it was such a positive experience for both me, my family, and also my intended family. I was overjoyed to help them start their family and have such an incredible journey with them. They were amazing the whole time. They talked to me just enough. They didn't overburden me with any concerns they had. They were comfortable with the amount that I was willing to share. I sent plenty of photos, videos of the heartbeats. They sent tons of gifts, which is completely unnecessary considering I'm already being paid for the experience. But they went above and beyond to make me feel like I was still a person during this experience. It's easy to kind of feel like an incubator or a baby maker and to not feel seen, because for them, you're growing their baby. The baby is the important part. So they went above and beyond to make sure that I felt comfortable. I had my maternity clothing bonus. It was $700 to spend on maternity clothes, which is more than enough. So I had plenty of shorts, t-shirts that fit me comfortably, plenty of compression socks. I had plenty of outfits that I still felt like cute and happy in. So for me, and a lot of people, if you feel cute, you feel happy. So even though I had gained 50 pounds during the pregnancy, totally normal, and my body was going through changes and my ankles were swelling, with the bonus from the maternity clothing, I was still able to find clothes that were both cute and comfortable that I could wear at the end of my journey and still feel like a person. So I was really grateful for the maternity clothing balance from Giving Tree Surrogacy, as well as I was grateful for all of the gifts that my intended families were sending me. Even at the end of the journey, after I had baby, there were gifts at the hospital waiting for us. We went back to sign some more paperwork for the birth certificate so baby could leave the hospital comfortably. And when we got there, they not only had a present for me, they also had a present for my husband and my son, because they had been with me through the whole journey. My son will never forget the Lego that the family bought for him. It was huge. It was absolutely over the top, and he was obsessed with it. My husband got a wonderful speaker from them. They bought me an iPad, which absolutely blew my mind. It's one of those things that you don't know that everybody needs until you have one. So being gifted an iPad for having a baby is insane. They went above and beyond to make sure that I felt taken care of during the journey and that I didn't feel like I was just being used to give them a baby. They recognized me and could tell that I needed to feel comfortable and that I wanted to feel happy throughout the pregnancy as well. And after the birth of the baby, it was a wonderful experience. I absolutely adored meeting the intended mother and seeing her and baby together. And that's why I'm so excited to do this journey again. So my new intended mother, her and I have already bonded a lot on her papers. She loved horses and cats, which are my 2 favorite animals. So we immediately connected over our love of horses and our pet cats and everything like that. She speaks English fluently, so we're able to have really close conversations without having to have a translator there. And I loved hearing her story on why she wants to become a mother and how excited she is to start her family. So I am just as excited to be her surrogate and to be giving her the gift of life. So follow along with me, and I will see you guys next time.